Hey, what's up, my stop doing nothing family? Whew, it's been a stressful week. We live in a difficult time, difficult place. We also live in a great time and a great place. And as I was thinking of what's been on my mind recently, the big words that come to mind I think are tolerance and patience. And it's important that you listen to this, whether you're young or old, male, female, black, white, red, Asian, trans, homosexual, bisexual, lesbian. We are having a lot of problems in this world because we just don't have any patience or tolerance for each other. I'm not talking tolerance as in, oh, you have to be accepting of everyone in the world around you. That's not realistic. You don't have to be accepting of other people around you. You don't have to tolerate someone else's belief shoved into your life. Do you have to respect them? Yes, but if somebody else is trying to shove a belief down your throat that you don't believe with, you know what? You don't have to believe it. You are perfectly within your right. However, you should respect them and you should tolerate them. And by tolerate them, I mean be willing to let them exist in the same world that you are in without necessarily accepting their beliefs or believing them 100% or wanting to basically take their beliefs and make them your own. And the reason this to me is coming to mind is because whether it's, not so much religious, it almost seems the big divide this day in my country, the United States at least, is political. It's political and just basic ideology beliefs that are dividing us, that we just have no patience and no tolerance and no acceptance for. And that's really killing us. There was a post today recently on a local coffee shop thing where someone quit because someone used the wrong pronoun on them, and the whole thing just degraded into a shit show of a discussion. And it was really sad. And I feel a little bit bad for the person who the improper pronoun was used for. But rather than quit and, to me, in my opinion, rather than quit and go off in a huff puff and make a big deal about it, and of course I don't know the whole backstory here, I'm thinking, you know what? Why can't I accept the fact that somebody made a mistake when referencing me and say, hey, can you please do this differently? And maybe we can get along in the world rather than huff and puff. And for those of you that are living maybe not necessarily let's say a perfectly colored in mainstream lifestyle or a perfectly colored in belief system, or by perfect, I don't mean perfect, I mean by a common one or the majority one. We need we as in people that do have a majority of belief of any sort, to have tolerance and patience with people that don't believe in the things that you believe in, just like you want those mainstream thought people, for lack of a better term, to believe in you. Remember, tolerance and patience and understanding and be willing to engage in civil debate goes both ways. And I'll pull an example out of here. If someone is, let's say I was transphobic, for example, okay? And I had, not transphobic, let's say I just didn't believe in the concept of someone being trans, okay? Or someone going through the surgery or whatever it is. Please don't berate me for getting the terms wrong, because I'm fully going to admit that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But let's say there was somebody on that side who I didn't agree with. And that person, I used the wrong pronoun with that person, or I said the wrong thing, or they wanted to, or I just didn't believe that it existed. I believe, biologically things are the certain way they are, and you just can't change that. And that person has mentally, spiritually, intellectually, that's their choice, or if it's, you don't think it's not their choice, it's their lifestyle, okay? And it's the route they've chosen to go. I don't have to accept that, but I do have to be patient with them and tolerate them. And at the same time, the person on that side needs to be willing to accept the fact that I don't accept them and not hate me for it. We have to realize just because I don't have the same beliefs that we don't have the same beliefs that somebody else does, that we have to hate them for it. Not believing you is not the same thing as hating you. Not accepting your beliefs is not the same thing as hating each other. And I'm not trying to, make us all sit here and hold hands and sing Kumbaya together. But what I've realized in my 5+ decades on this planet is that the older I get and the more tolerant I get and the more patient I get and the more willing I am to not make things a big, giant effing deal over everything, the better I get along with people. And also, I'm really good at, like water off of a duck these days. If someone comes at me with something, and someone just did recently, I posted an interesting direct message on the Stop Doing Nothing fan page that I got. If someone comes at me, I'm just really good at letting that roll off. It's like, whatever. I don't have time for the small things. And that's kind of another overarching theme of this whole discussion, is we are spending a lot of time on the small things. We are on a planet that, depending on your beliefs, and this is my belief, we are on a planet that we are destroying every single minute of every single day. And we are really fretting over what's going on in someone's bedroom or in someone's pants or in someone's mind. We're fretting over those problems. We're spending hours and hours of our productive lives fretting over those problems when we have big, giant, hairy-ass things in this world to solve. We've got to realize that, what was the book? Don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. That phrase is so true. That was a book by someone. It wasn't Malcolm Gladwell, it was somebody else. But that is so true. We have to realize that most of the stuff, probably 80% of the stuff, is small stuff. And it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. The planet has a finite, in my opinion, our planet has a finite lifetime. Our bodies have a finite lifetime, probably less than 100 years for most of us. And we've got to realize that if it doesn't really affect the duration of our life, if it doesn't really affect the duration of our planet, if it's something that's not major, it doesn't affect our health and our well-being and our happiness, and I know some of these things do, but my whole point is in the grand scheme of things, we have to realize that right now in this day and age, we are spending our time on a lot of things that aren't really important in the grand scheme of things. So if this makes sense to you, I'd love to hear your comments below or engage in a discussion with you on Facebook or on Twitter or on YouTube or on Instagram or wherever you happen to watch this. But I'm just going to re-emphasize, I'm going to try in my life to talk to people more about tolerance and patience with each other, especially in areas where we don't agree with each other. We have to be willing to have a civil debate about things and not fight about it. Not fight about it in wars, not physically fight about it, not yell and scream about it. Just, we don't agree. That's one of the best things, in my opinion. That's one of the best ways to end the debate. We don't agree. Isn't that time? Let's shake hands and go have a cup of coffee. Try that more in your life, if you would. Try with people that you've previously argued with. Be willing to come to an end point in the discussion and say, we don't agree. Let's just stop, because there's no sense in going around and around about it anymore. We don't agree. Let's decide to stop, table this conversation, and still be friends. There are so many people I don't agree with on several ideological scales that I am still friends with. And so I really want to emphasize that to you. Please do that. Please find ways to disagree with people, yet still tolerate them. Dig down deep and tolerate their beliefs, especially when they don't line up with yours. So if this makes sense, again, engage in a discussion with me and watch the other videos as always. Have a great week. Thanks for listening to the podcast, and thanks for subscribing on YouTube. And I'll get another video out and another podcast out for you next week. Until then, let's be great to each other. We'll talk to you soon.